Hey guys, Amber here. I know it's been a while since I posted a video and I just want to give you guys an update as to where we're at. I really know that I need to be better about posting updates to YouTube, but because we've been in this lull for so long between treatment, I just figured what I have to say, probably a lot of it isn't really anything worth like putting in a video. So that's why I've been kind of quiet on here. But as I've said before, I'm almost always active over on Instagram, and I do post quite a bit to Facebook as well. So those links will be in the description below. Let's see, in the months since my last video where we had the chemical pregnancy and I shared about that and what I was kind of going through, I will say it's still been very difficult to wrap my head around what happened, because we got the positive pregnancy test and 4 days later they were already talking about how I might lose it. So as a result, I don't think I had that chance or that opportunity to really get my hopes up and start dreaming and envisioning for this baby. So when I lost it, even though it was technically a miscarriage because there was a confirmed beta test and then a loss, it didn't feel, in my brain, it didn't seem the same as somebody who's had time, like weeks of pregnancy where they have had ultrasounds and have had time to start dreaming and working towards a nursery and, you know, planning for a baby. We didn't get that. We hadn't done anything for this baby yet because I just kind of had this expectation almost that something would go wrong, because that's been the story this whole time for us. So yeah, I'm still kind of in a weird place with it. Don't really know how to feel about it, how to process it. Yeah, it's just this weird gray area for me, but that's just me, just my feelings. Obviously somebody else's experience may be a little different than mine, but that's where I was at and am at with it. Oh Lord, in the months since that post, so we were waiting on our laparoscopy because of COVID. There was this pause and we couldn't have any elective procedures, even though it wasn't really elective for me, because at that point I was pretty much for sure knew I had endometriosis, even though none of my doctors had ever said that word to me until I was the one that brought it up. Then when I started telling them all the reasons why I thought I might have it, oh yeah, this could be something we should look into. Whatever. So waited for COVID to kind of die down enough that my clinic could reopen, my OBGYN clinic, and I could have a laparoscopy and hysteroscopy done. I had those things scheduled for July originally. Then right before I was coming up on it was like the week before, I got a call from the clinic saying my OBGYN had injured her hand and they were going to have to delay the surgery until she was healed and recovered. So that pushed us back to August 14th or 13th, I think it was, one of those 2 days. I went in for what was supposed to be an outpatient procedure. It's supposed to take 90 minutes-ish, give or take. And when I woke up from the surgery, I was in a recovery room and the clock was almost right in front of me. And it had actually been 4 hours. So I knew something had went wrong. I was in a lot of pain and nobody would tell me anything until I finally got back in my actual room, and my husband was there and he was the one that had to tell me what happened, because apparently what had happened was that they did the hysteroscopy first and discovered my left tube was blocked. They had planned to remove it once they went in for the laparoscopy. The uterus looked good, everything inside my uterus looked good, but that blocked fallopian tube on the left. So Then they did the laparoscopy, and they went in first through my belly button and did some tinkering in there, pulled it out, went in through my left lower abdomen. And that's when she realized that the first entrance, she actually punctured a piece of my small intestine. Went all the way through. So at that point, I guess they withdrew. They went ahead and took out the fallopian tube at some point, but they had to like cut me open from the belly button down to my pubic bone. And they cut out a piece of my small intestine where it had been punctured and then sewed it back together. And so what was supposed to be an outpatient 90-minute procedure ended up being a 4-day hospital visit. And it was traumatic. It was emotional. It was a huge freaking ordeal for me. Honestly, I'm still dealing with that. I'll probably be dealing with that for a very long time. And I don't think it's her fault necessarily. I mean, I kind of had some questions about it. If it was related to her hand injury or what happened. But that's neither here nor there. It happened. It's in the past. It's done. All I can do is just kind of deal with it moving forward. So it was a very long process to recover from the bowel surgery. It took me like 3 or 4 months before I could have broccoli again, which I didn't realize how much I loved until I couldn't have it because it would cause a raging diarrhea, just to be brutally honest. Whether you wanted to hear that or not, there's a little tidbit. But I finally started to feel better. My doctor said, okay, we'll give it 2 months, 2 full cycles after the one that you were in when you got the laparoscopy. And then we can talk about doing a frozen transfer cycle. So that put it in November. And I kid you not, literally the day before we were supposed to fly up to New York for our frozen transfer, I was having a lot of abdominal pain. Like just below, you can't really see it in the video, but just below my breasts. I just was having a lot of pain, and it started off small, like almost where it felt gassy. And then over the course of the day, it just kept building and getting worse. And I took, antacids, and I took Pepto, and nothing was helping the pain and the pressure I was feeling. It just kept getting worse. So finally went to urgent care because I was afraid that whatever was going on might be a big enough ordeal to impact my transfer, and I wanted to be proactive. Went to urgent care, they did an MRI, and they discovered at the site of where I had that bowel resection that there was a blockage. So they sent me over to the ER, which quickly admitted me into inpatient, and I was there for 2 days, missed my transfer, had to cancel it. It's the first time I've ever had to initiate a cancellation. I was pretty upset. I was freaking out because at first urgent care was telling me I would probably need surgery again. That was the last thing. I had finally kind of started to recover from the first one. I did not want to do that again. Thankfully, at the hospital, they were able to get the bowel unblocked. And the way they did that, if you're curious, was they put an NG tube in, which went through my nose, down the back of my throat, and into my stomach. They had to pump out all the crap that was in my stomach that was blocked from moving through because of that blockage. And then they injected this crap, contrast or whatever it was, and watched it with an x-ray, and basically it just like is a flush for your digestive system. So that's how they unblocked it. If you're ever in that situation or know somebody who is, try that before you resort to surgery maybe. But anyhow, it was a whole crazy ordeal. And then Christmas came, and also in that same time span, it was like at the very end of October, I found out that my middle sister is expecting her second child. And it was not a planned pregnancy, and so that was difficult to process. It still kind of has its moments where it's a little hard. I'm super excited to be getting a little nephew, but naturally that causes some tension and some like rubbing up against the grief that I'm feeling from our loss when we had the chemical pregnancy, and then also just the loss and the grief associated with infertility in general. But it is what it is. I'm working through it. So, I will say that I have been doing a lot of soul searching the last few months about our journey, everything we've been through, what's next, because here's the thing. This next transfer, we have 2 embryos, assuming that they both thaw and survive and can get transferred. And if neither of those take, that's it. We're done. We're out. And we would have to go back to the very beginning and start with another retrieval cycle and do the genetic testing and everything, like literally from step 1. So I'm really hoping this works, obviously. But if it doesn't, I don't know what will be next. I just don't. I have some ideas, but I don't really want to share those a lot until we get to that point where we're having to make that choice. But one thing I do want to say is that regardless of what happens, I do plan on sharing after this. So if we do another cycle, I will share that. If we walk away from IVF, I will share a little bit about that. I do plan to put a little bit of updates sporadically. So just plan on that. But we are currently on cycle day 2. And assuming everything goes according to plan, knock on wood somewhere, we will hopefully get to transfer our embryos this cycle. So I will keep you all posted. I will post another video here in a week or so, probably of little snapshots leading up to transfer. And then I will share that with you guys. And I'll try to do it more in real time than what I did that first time. That first time I kind of wanted to just keep it more private with my husband and I. This time I don't really care, I guess. And I will just try and post those things more in real time for you guys so you can get a more realistic and thorough understanding of what it's like and what we're going through. But thanks for watching. I'm going to cut it off here before it gets too long. And I hope to have continuing good news for you guys in future videos. Bye.